Welcome back to Takeout. Welcome to the Conversation Corner. You know I love to hang out here. Ken Salazar served as Attorney General of Colorado, Senator, U.S. Ambassador to Mexico, sharing his life story in a book called Borderlands. This book caught the attention of the current president of Mexico, who said in it, Ken Salazar has not told the truth about a pretty well-known 2024 capture of El Mayo Zambada in Mexico. Ken Salazar, great to have you on the program. You guys have been fighting this out on social media and elsewhere. How do you want to respond to what the Mexican president has said?
You know, Major, it's first of all great just to be here with you and to see you here again. So, you know, for me, it's about a united America. It's creating a new American alliance and security for both the United States and Mexico and Canada. And that's what my book is all about. That's what my service has been as a United States Senator, Ambassador, and Secretary of Interior under President Obama. So I don't know why she's saying what she says. I think it's a distraction for other things that are going on. But at the end of the day, the truth is the truth. And the truth is what I write in Borderlands.
Which is the United States was not involved, not by plane, not by any other means, with this particular high-profile drug cartel bust.
As I said in the book, and as Attorney General Garland said at the time, and as I communicated directly to the Mexican government many times, it was not our operation, not our pilot, not our plane, and that's where it stands. Now, it ought to be a victory for Mexico and the United States. You know, I don't understand why it is that when you capture somebody who's as bad as this guy was, there's not a victory parade both in the United States as well as in Mexico. That's how it ought to be.
Ken, do you think this is about current anxieties or animosities that the Mexican government feels with the Trump administration about CIA and other involvement and other things going on in the drug fight within Mexico?
You know,
sensitivities around that?
It could be. I can't get in her head, Major, but the reality of it is that if you're going to create a new American alliance that's going to bring security to both the United States and Mexico, fix the border, deal with fentanyl and drugs, arms going south, you're going to have to do it together. And you can't do it simply by demonizing one country or the other. You got to do it together.
Ken, you write late in the book that President Biden did not do all he could, and the crisis on the border was one of the things that significantly undercut his bid for re-election before he abandoned it. And then when Kamala Harris took over as the nominee, her own problems there as the designated border czar also complicated, if not intensified, that sense of political separation from her on this issue.
The President of the United States, Joe Biden, authentic and a good person. And my relationship with him, I value the relationship, I value him. But the reality of it is they were caught in a trap that's a historic trap. And that's the inattention of the United States and its foreign policy to the South, to the Americas. In Spanish, you would say, el rincón olvidado. We need to have la mirada al sur. We need to look to the South. In the same kind of conversation that I had with President George W. Bush about JFK and the Alliance for Progress, that's what we have to do. That was our agenda, my agenda when I went into Mexico. It's still the agenda. It's still the purpose of Borderlands. That's why I wrote the book. We got to have a new beginning as we look to the South.
How do you evaluate when the president says, as he did yesterday, numerous months, zero illegal crossings, didn't need legislation, all you needed was a strong president to enforce border security, and we've got it?
He's going about it the wrong way. He's breaking up families. He's taking people who have been living in the shadows of the United States for decades, way back since we were working on trying to get immigration reform passed. He's killed all of those things, taken people from the shadows of fear in our society to the shadows of death. They're being killed on our streets here in the United States because of his overzealous enforcement in a way that ought not to be done. Now, you got to have enforcement, but you have to do it right. You have to do it with the right kind of training, with the right kind of authority, and the way that he's going about it is anti-American in my view.
Do you think ICE can be reformed, or are you with the Democrats who say that it needs to be abolished because of the things you just raised?
Yeah, ICE should not be abolished. ICE was created for a purpose. It came out of a lot of history, including the reforms after 9/11. So we need to have a border and control system that works, but they need to be trained and they need to be on mission. They can't displace the local police or local authorities in the way that they're doing. I mean, right now, people in the United States are living in fear, as dozens now have been killed in ICE assaults. Many of them, frankly, are being investigated. Some of them are been laid off. So the reality of it is we need to be clear in the mission. ICE has a mission, but it's not carrying it out the way that it should be carrying it out.
You write in the book about your time as Interior Secretary. How do you evaluate what this administration has done, not only in terms of rewriting some history that the Interior Department is involved in, but also reversing public lands designations under the Interior Department to protect things?
Our values, Major, have been about creating an inclusive America. That was the history of Barack Obama becoming president of the United States. It was our history as a cabinet as we move forward to try to bring the United States together again. We need it now more than ever. And you don't do it by essentially trying to erase the history of Harriet Tubman, the history of Dr. King, the history of people who have been on this march towards a more perfect union. You can't engage in the current project of erasure and expect that we're going to be a stronger America. We need to embrace diversity as our superpower. That's been my purpose in life. That's my purpose today. That's my purpose in Borderlands, and that will continue to be the case.
What about opening up public lands for mineral and other kinds of extraction?
Wrong-headed again. Public lands are great for our economy. There is what makes America great. It's known as, if you will, the place where the common people work, whether it's our national parks or our public lands, and for the direction that this president is taking, including the assault on climate change, is really an assault on our planet. That's why there ought to be a unity, and this is not only Democrats, it's independents and Republicans as well. We got to get on the bandwagon of saving our planet. And right now, the 180-degree about-face that this administration is taking on is absolutely the wrong way to go.
Ken Salazar, it's been a pleasure to have you. The book is Borderlands, My Fight for an Inclusive America. It's available anywhere you purchase your books on July 28th, so line up and get them.